Do you know what a God sized vision looks like or what a God vision looks like? Are you often confused by what's a God vision and what's some other type of vision? Well, today that's exactly what we're going to talk about. What does a God sized vision look like? So let's get started. In the Old Testament, God says, "My people perish for lack of vision," which is also translated lack of knowledge, lack of wisdom, those kind of things as well. But here's what I want you to understand about a God sized vision. A God sized vision is always going to include a variety, a large number of people. Now, how that number large is defined is relative based on what you're dealing with. And so we can find an example of that in the Old Testament. When Joseph, this would be in Genesis, was given the coat of many colors. He woke up one morning and he goes, "One day you're going to bow down to me, and dad's going to bow down to me." And it made his brothers so angry that they threw him in a hole. Of course, dad didn't know about it. They told dad he was dead, but that's a whole nother part of the story. Here's what I want you to understand, because the greatest information is contained in how he handled that specific situation. And what ended up happening is that when he was given this God vision, he wasn't given it in its entirety. So, one of the major things you can always count on is this. Number one, a God sized vision is never going to tell you all the details. It's going to paint an outline, and that outline is what you're going to hold on to through the tough times. Number two, how you handle that vision, that's going to determine what you have to go through to get there. You see, when Joseph took that information and put it in front of his brothers and his father the way that he did, it showed a great deal of pride. And so, for him to be elevated to the level that God was taking him, he had to deal with the pride that the young man was carrying. We also see this in another type of vision, okay? This wasn't one that these two people saw, it was one that they were told. And what they were told was, yes, it was a prophecy, but a prophecy is equally a vision, okay? They were told that they were going to have a child, and both of them left. Because by this point, they had been waiting for 25 years. 25 years. They didn't think it was actually going to happen. And so the angel, of course, sat back going, "Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? I don't get it. Why are you laughing?" It was wonderful. I love the Bible. I love the Bible because the histories really paint a picture of who we are as people and how we receive things that God tells us. Things that really just tickle us, because for us they're impossible to believe. Like, they're not things that we would have conceived on our own. Which brings us to point number 3. A God vision is not something you are ever going to be able to conceive of on your own. It's something that has to come from outside of you in order for it to be able to be reached. With me? Next. When each one of these people saw the vision, there was no timetable given to when that vision was going to come to pass. So Joseph had no idea he was going to be sold into slavery, accused of rape, imprisoned for 12, 13 years, then brought out when the Pharaoh needed something, made the third in the land after an entire famine before he was going to see his father and brothers again. I mean, here's the thing. If we actually knew what we were going to have to go through to get to where we see in our head, most of us would be like, "I ain't up for that. Sorry. Have fun with that. No, I'm good." And we're not always honest with ourselves about that. The more we have to grow through, the harder that road can be. So I want to give you something, because this is the point where people go, "Well, God doesn't have to make it so hard." First off, it was not God who said, "Oh, by the way, hey, go tell your brothers and your dad that they're going to be bowing down to you." No, no, no. That was all Joseph. That was all him. His issues, what he was dealing with. And see, that's the thing, especially in today's world where people are so governed by how they feel. Y'all, come out of the feelings. Good God. If I hear one more person tell me about how they feel, listen, it's not that feelings are not important. Feelings are very important in processing information. But that's what they're there for, to help you process information and to have compassion for other people. They are terrible masters. Having emotions as your master is equal to having money as your master. They don't end well. You will consistently make decisions that are not in your best interest. So, here's what I want you to look at. When you are looking at a God sized vision, what I just said stands. It's always going to be about different people, bigger people. While Joseph's vision showed his family bowing to him, it wasn't just his family, it was an entire nation. He just happened to see his family among them. And that was a great thing because while he was separated for almost 20 years, probably, from when he last saw his family to when he was going to see them again, he needed to hold on to the fact that the day was coming. He was going to see his father again. He never got to see his mom because she passed away. He knew that that day was going to come because he had seen it. So, number 4 about a God sized vision is this: it has all the components that you need to hold on to it during the tough times. Tough times are going to come. That's part of living on this earth. But a God sized vision is going to give you something to grab onto and to hold to and to remember. So when things are beating you down, when they're hurting you, when they're causing you stress, when you can't breathe, when you can't see, it's that God sized vision that keeps you anchored and holding and moving through the storm. Some days you will get to a point where you feel so defeated. But I want you to always remember this because here is another place where the Bible is your friend. Joy comes in the morning. You know, I want to share with y'all. I have bad days, just like everybody else. Okay, really, I don't have a lot of bad days, but I used to have a lot of bad days just a few months ago. And the one thing I always told myself before I went to bed is, whoo, thank God joy comes in the morning. And the next day I would hop up and start the day like the nightmarish day that I had just left never happened. And it wasn't that I forgot it. It wasn't that I let it go. It was that it was yesterday. And the cares of today are enough for today. What am I going to worry about yesterday for? Okay, let it go. It's gone. It's past. Keep it moving. And that's what we did. And that's what I did. And so when I come to you and I say, if I have to hear one more person talk about emotion, here's what I want you to understand. All of us go through days that are more taxing than others, but they are not designed to destroy my life unless I give them the power to do so. So many of you are giving emotions the power to destroy you that you can't see the God sized vision that's right in front of you. It's not that it's not there, it's that your glasses are fogged up and you need little windshield wipers to clean them off. Because when you get out of your emotions and you start looking at things logically, calmly, rationally, and reasonably, what you begin to find is that things are not as bad as they always look. The 5th thing about a God-sized vision, it's going to require you to walk with more faith than you ever knew you had. Now, here's the thing. The Lord is very clear. Remember what he said. As long as you have faith, the size of this mustard seed. You don't have to have big faith, y'all. You just have to have a teeny tiny bit. Yeah, see that hardly visible point of this pen? That teeny tiny bit is all you have to have in order for you to grow into the place that God is taking you. No one starts with enormous faith. Everyone grows into their faith. We all started believing that God was against us. But the fact of the matter is, when you cross the threshold and realize that the man you serve is 100% for you, and that the governing of your emotions is what's hurting you, it changes your life forever. There's nothing I go out to tackle right now that I don't accomplish. There are certain keys to that, and we'll go over that in another video. The faith that is necessary will always come and accompany the vision that you see. But it's your job to activate that faith. So, in order to make sure you understand this, how do you activate faith? Number one, you believe the vision when you see it. Yeah, you may laugh, you may say some things, whatever, but as long as you believe and you start walking in it, you're on the right path. It's not going to go bad. No matter what it looks like, it's not going to go bad. You just have to remember that the pathway that's carved out for that vision is not a straight line. It's always going to move in what appears to be like an S curve. It really isn't, but that's what it's going to appear like. So trust that and keep walking. Now, how do you know when a vision is from the other side? It's always going to be about you. It's going to glorify you. In other words, you're going to be at the center of attention. So if you are having a dream of going to Hollywood, what you're going to imagine are all the people, all the cameras you're going to see, all the cameras and the people looking around you, and you on the red carpet, and everybody is going to be calling your name, and they're going to be coming after you and doing this and doing that. And oh, she is the greatest thing that ever existed. That's how you're going to see it. And that's how you know you're way in the wrong spot, because you're not going to change anybody else's life with that. At that point, it's not about other people. It's about you. You see, in a God-sized vision, you might confuse it that it's about you when really it's about God, right? But in a human vision or in a demonically influenced vision, it's always going to be about your greatness. You see, when you are not in a place that you can understand, you don't have any greatness in and of yourself. And it's really funny because when people hear that, they think it's like negative. And I gotta tell you, I don't really understand it. And I keep trying to remember if I had to grow through this. I think I did, because I think what happened, especially for me, was that I often felt like God was attacking me. And so often I would feel like I was just this joke. And I was like, why didn't you just leave me in the world if you were going to keep abandoning me this way? So here's what I didn't understand. And here's what allowed that thinking to take place. I had an expectation of how things were going to look. Y'all, I am very creative and very imaginative. Like, for me, it is very hard for God to come up with something that I didn't already imagine in my head. And still, he comes up with things that I imagined a part of it, but the rest of it that he added, yeah, I didn't see that coming. So, for example, when I became a best-selling author, I saw the best-selling author. He comes around the corner and makes it an international best-selling author. Now I'm sitting here with my foot in my mouth. I have nothing. Like, what do I say to this, right? Because when God does things, it's always more than you anticipate. Always. So that's why we don't attach ourselves to an outcome. The greatest freedom came when I realized I don't need to worry about how it ends. I just need to worry about the part that I have to do and know that because of that work that I've done, there's going to be fruit produced. And I didn't get that. And I don't think that's where many of you are, is in that spot where you're attached to an outcome. You want what you want. I want my family back. I want my career to go to the next level. I want, to grow in this area or in that area or in this area. And I want to be this way. And because you have that attachment, what ends up happening is that you separate yourself from what God's plan for your life is and what your plan is. Now, remember this: God's plan for your life is not going to fail. The twists and turns you have to go through, that's all based off of whether or not you choose to listen to the people He sends your way, or you decide to go your own way and pay your own price. And that's really what the difference is. So, what would be another idea? What would be another hint that it's a vision that's not from God? The vision does something that violates the laws or rules, not laws, but the rules of the word. So if God says, do not covet thy neighbor's wife, and your vision shows you married to a person who's married at the time that you not she and I were talking, and then I dropped the ball and she married somebody else. Very different, right? I'm talking about you meet a woman, you meet a man, and they are already married, and you go, God said that's gonna be my husband. God said that's gonna be my wife. No, that wasn't God. That wasn't God. Because He hates divorce. He tells you He hates divorce. And here's the thing, y'all. Why is this so hard for people to hold on to? God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He doesn't change. So once He set out the rules don't change. Now, people come along and they try to put shades of gray in areas that are black and white where no shade of gray exists. Well, what about this? What about that? If the answer is no, the answer is no. I don't care how you twist it, how you try and turn it, how you try and decorate it. You can put pretty pink flowers on it. It's still no. And if the answer is yes, then it's still yes. That yes does not change because circumstances change. Remember, things changing in circumstance is a human issue. It is not a God's issue. When you begin to understand that God is the same today and He's the same tomorrow, He's the same He was yesterday, you stop asking these silly questions. You make a decision. I'm either going to walk in His path or I'm not. In the years that I have walked with the Lord, the one thing I can guarantee you is I have never, ever experienced a vision that did not come from the Father. When you're truly working on walking with the Father, He's not going to let that kind of stuff happen to you. Every now and then you're going to have a desire, but you have to learn to differentiate your desires from His will. They're two very different things. And as you begin to understand that, then you make a decision and a determination as to how you want to proceed forward within the parameters that He has set forth. And then you walk. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you know every single time we release a new video. I'll see you next Friday.